Lobby group Equal Education has slammed the Kwazulu-Natal Education Department for slashing the learner transport budget. They say the decision to cut the already strained budget by 193 million rand was revealed in a briefing by the Education and Transport Department to parliamentary and provincial structures last month. Tiny Lebelo is with Equal Education, and she joins us now for more. Thank you very much, Tiny, once again for your time. What is Equal Education's understanding of why this budget had to be slashed?
Thank you for having me, and good afternoon to your viewers. I think this budget cut is extremely negative, considering the fact that in May this year, the Department of Basic Education released a report. And we could see that from the KZN DOE, there's a need for almost 300,000 kids that need learner transport, and only 80,000 are being serviced. And now with this budget cut that's coming up, there's more learners that are not going to have accessibility to scholar transport, which means that we're going to have more learners who are going to walk long distances to school, and then we're going to have high rates of absenteeism, as well as we're going to have high dropout rates, right? Because learners are coming into class very fatigued because of walking long distances as well, which has a negative impact on our learners and them accessing their right to education.
The Department of Education in KwaZulu-Natal has put it on Treasury, and so are you also lobbying the Treasury to maybe get a better understanding and a collaboration to see how these learners can be helped?
We have, and we've also said to not only the KZN DOE, but to the DBE at large, to say that certain programs such as the learner transport and the NSNP program, they must be ring-fenced, that all those funds must specifically be used for those programs and nothing else, because we understand that there's a greater need, and especially in rural provinces such as KZN, for these kids to attend and to access their education, because there's such a huge inequality, and these programs help us in sort of bridging the gap into that inequality that is there in these rural provinces.
I'd like for us to expand on the inequality in these rural provinces. You still find in 2023 that there are learners who have to walk for kilometers on end to access education. Earlier this year, 2 young women were killed where they were renting in that province especially, and that was also in the quest to get education. And so tell us about some of those stories, right, where you find that young people in this country in 2023 are still having to make perilous journeys to access education.
So Equal Education lobbied for the scholar transport, and there were schools that were organized and that did get access to scholar transport. But when we went back again recently for our school visits, principals and teachers and even community members cited that there are learners who get raped and killed on their way to school. And some of these stories are not documented in these communities, and even the department is not aware of these things. But I think we're being very ignorant in understanding the South Africa that we live in. South Africa is the rape capital of the world, and children go missing each and every day. So when we are allowing our learners to walk long distances to school without thinking that they might disappear, they might get killed, and we're expecting them to walk long distances in between mountains. KZN is a very mountainous province as well, but also with the new climate change that's happening and its impact we're seeing in KZN, we're expecting them to cross dangerous rivers as well. We're being very ignorant by understanding that anything could happen to these learners, and that providing them with learner transport helps us avoid some of these challenges that we're facing as a country, that having a bus that goes on their route ensures that they are safe, they are not in a position to get killed and raped. But also we're saying to them, you are in a position to get to school earlier and perform even better without being fatigued.
What can you and I do?
listen, I think encouraging parents as well in SGBs to get into these positions, becoming key decision makers as well, and not allowing government to just solely take decisions for our learners. But most importantly, I think we need to not forget the power that we have as people, right? Not only just in civil society organizations, but even us as community organizations, but even community members, to say that this is not what we want for our kids. This is not the education landscape that our children deserve. They have a right to access education despite their geographical location. And they also have a right to access transport, because them walking long distances becomes a barrier to them accessing their human rights. So we must not forget our power that we have even as community members, even voicing out. Government and public servants must service us as community members. We must not forget that they are there to service us, not us servicing them. And we're not at the mercy of them. They must service us and they must listen to us, so our voice is important.
Tiny Lebelo is with Equal Education. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon.